4 days before the trial begins, Deck takes a call at the office from a lawyer in Cleveland. I call him back from the car phone, which doesn't have a microphone in it. His name is Peter Corsa, and he represents a young lady by the name of Jackie Lemanchek. She went to his office after she was suddenly fired from Great Benefit for no obvious reason. His client was sexually involved with several of her bosses. Her progress in the company and her pay were based on her willingness. They are filing suit against Great Benefit. I finally ask, will she testify? I talk to Jackie Lemanchek for an hour. I promise that her appearance will be a surprise to Great Benefit. She's scared to death of them. I think a surprise would be lovely. Chapter 12. The Trial. The trial begins. My opening statement is short and goes smoothly. There was a policy, the premiums were paid every week, it covered Donnie Ray, he got sick. He was refused treatment, and then he died. The purpose of this case is not only to collect money from Great Benefit, it is also to punish them. Drummond begins by holding up a copy of the policy. This is the policy that Mr. and Mrs. Black bought. It doesn't say that Great Benefit has to pay for transplants. The jurors don't like him, but this has their attention. This policy costs $18 a week, but they expect my client to pay $200,000 for a bone marrow transplant. Now, they want the $200,000 and $10 million in punitive damages. I call that greedy. Again and again, he repeats himself, saying, "It's simply not in the policy." He decides to push me. The second time he mentions the word greedy, I object. Kipler quickly agrees with me. Dot is our first witness. She describes how awful it was not being able to provide health care for her dying son. Then she reads the letters of denial. They sound worse than I hoped. Denial from claims, denial by underwriting, all the excuses, letter after letter. And then, this stupid letter. I watch the jurors' faces as Dot reads. They can't believe it. The courtroom is silent. "Please read it again," I say. Drummond objects, but Kipler silences him. Dot reads it again, this time with more feeling. This is exactly where I want to leave Dot. It would be a mistake for Drummond to get rough with her. He starts with some general questions. Then, why did you sue Great Benefit for $10 million? He wants to make her look greedy. She expects the question. $10 million? She asks. That's right, Mrs. Black, $10 million. Is that all? She asks. I beg your pardon? I thought it was more than that. Is that so? Yeah. Your client has a fortune, and your client killed my son. I wanted to sue for a lot more. Drummond keeps smiling and makes one last mistake with Dot Black. What are you going to do with the money if the jury gives you $10 million? Imagine trying to answer this in open court, unprepared. Dot, however, is very ready. Give every penny to the American Leukemia Society. I don't want your rotten money. Thank you, Drummond says, and sits down quickly. Two of the jurors are openly smiling at his embarrassment. Next, Ron testifies that he was a perfect match and that he was ready to give his bone marrow to Donnie Ray. Then it's the turn of Dr. Walter Cord. He speaks clearly and explains the disease and treatment so that the jurors can understand. He tells them about the early test that showed Donnie Ray had leukemia. What does this test cost? Around $1,000. And how did Donnie Ray pay for it? When he first came to the office, he filled out the normal forms and said he was covered by Great Benefit Life Insurance Company. My staff checked with Great Benefit and found that the policy did exist. Did Great Benefit pay? No. We were eventually told that the claim was denied. Mrs. Black has been paying $50 a month. Dr. Cord repeats the fact that Ron Black was a perfect match for Donnie Ray. If he had had the transplant, it would have worked. We call Everett Lufkin from Great Benefit to testify. Who is Jackie Lemanchek? I ask him. Did you know her well? Not really. She was just a claims handler, one of many. Tomorrow she'll testify that their affair lasted 3 years. I've explained that the claims manual is the key document that employees refer to. I hand Lufkin the copy I was given by Drummond before the trial. I ask, Mr. Lufkin, is this the whole claims manual? Yes. Are you certain? Yes. I requested a copy from your lawyers, and this is what they gave me? Yes. Did you personally choose this particular copy of the manual to be sent to me? I did. I take a deep breath. Could you open the manual to section U, please? He actually takes the manual and goes through it. At this moment, I'm sure he'd sell his children for a section U. I don't have a section U. I then give him the copy Cooper Jackson gave me. Well, Mr. Lufkin, let's talk about the mysterious section U. Let's explain it to the jury. It went into the manual on January 1st, 1991, correct? Yes. The year that the blacks first claimed. Let's read paragraph 3. Paragraph 3 directs the claims handler to immediately deny every claim within 3 days of receiving it. No exceptions. Every claim. If we could stop right now, the jury would give whatever I ask, and they haven't seen Donnie Ray yet. I meet Jackie Lemanchek's flight and take her to a hotel. We go through the questions I've prepared. Tuesday morning, we have a few more questions for Lufkin. Did you suggest to Jackie Lemanchek that she should leave the company? I did not. Did she receive any type of payment when she left? No. She chose to leave. Thank you. Your Honor, I've finished with this witness. Drummond wants to get him out of here. Your Honor, we're going to keep Mr. Lufkin for later, Drummond says. No surprise. The jury will never see him again. Very well. Call your next witness, Mr. Baylor. I say loudly. We call Jackie Lemanchek. Poor Lufkin stops, spins around wild-eyed to the defense table, then walks even faster from the courtroom. How long did you work for Great Benefit? I ask Jackie Lemanchek. 6 years. And when did your employment end? October 3rd. How did it end? I was fired. You didn't choose to leave? No, I was fired. Who fired you? Everett Lufkin, Kermit Aldi, Jack Underhall, and others. I hand her a copy of a letter. This is a letter I typed and signed, she says. It states that you're leaving for personal reasons. The letter is a lie. I was fired so the company could claim that I didn't work there anymore. I was supposed to give a statement about the claim of Donnie Ray Black on October 5th. On the Saturday before that, I was asked to come to the office for a meeting with Jack Underhall, the man sitting there in the gray suit. He's one of the lawyers at Great Benefit. He told me I was leaving immediately. If I wrote that letter and kept quiet, the company would give me $10,000. She bites her lip, struggles for a minute, then is able to continue. I'm bringing up 2 children alone, and there are lots of bills, so I had no choice. I wrote the letter, took the cash, and signed an agreement never to discuss any of my claims files with anybody. Including the Black file? Yes, especially the Black file. Then, why are you here? I talked to a lawyer. He told me the agreement I signed was illegal. Do you have a copy of the agreement? No, Mr. Underhall wouldn't let me keep one, but I'm sure he has the original. I slowly turn and stare at Jack Underhall. So does every other person in the courtroom. His shoes have suddenly become the center of his life. Why did you see a lawyer? I needed advice. I was fired for no good reason, but before that I was forced to have sex with various important people at Great Benefit. Anybody we know? Objection, Your Honor, Drummond says. This has nothing to do with the case. Let's see where it goes. Please answer the question, Ms. Lemanchek. She takes a deep breath and says, I had sex with Everett Lufkin for 3 years. If I was willing to do whatever he wanted, my pay was increased, and I progressed in the company. When I got tired of it and stopped, I lost my job and became an ordinary claims handler again. My pay was cut by 20%. Then Russell Crockett decided he'd like to have an affair. He forced himself on me, told me that if I didn't accept it, I'd lose my job. Both of these men are married? Yes, with families. They went after the young girls in claims. I could give you a lot of names. I look at Jackie. Her eyes are red now. This is painful for her. The jury is with her, ready to kill for her. Let's talk about the Black file, I say. It was one of your files. That's correct. The original claim form from Mrs. Black was given to me. I followed the company policy, and I sent her a letter of denial. Why? Why? Because all claims were denied at first in 1991. All claims? Yes, it was our policy to deny every claim at first, then to go back to the smaller ones later. The big claims were never paid unless a lawyer got involved. It was a 1-year trial, and it was viewed by management as a wonderful idea. Deny for a year, add up the money saved, subtract the amount spent on quick settlements, leaving a pot of gold. How much gold? An extra $40 million or so. How do you know all this? If you stay in bed long enough with these men, you hear all sorts of garbage. I'm not proud of this, okay? How was the Black claim treated? It was denied like all the rest, but it was a big claim, so Russell Crockett checked everything I did. They soon realized that the policy did allow bone marrow transplants. It became a very serious file for 2 reasons. First, it was suddenly worth a lot of money. And second, the insured man was going to die. So the claims department knew that Donnie Ray Black was going to die? Of course. It was clear from his medical records that he would die without the bone marrow transplant. Did you show this to anyone? I showed it to Russell Crockett. He showed it to his boss, Everett Lufkin. The decision was made to continue the denial. But you knew the claim should be paid. Everybody knew it. But the company was dependent on the fact that no more than 1 out of 25 people would talk to a lawyer. They sell these policies to people who are not very educated. And when you received a letter from a lawyer, if the claim was under $5,000 and it was correct, we paid it immediately and sent a letter of apology. Big claims went to the management. I think they were almost always settled quietly. Thank you. I turn to Drummond with a pleasant smile and say, "Your witness." Then I go and sit by Dot, who's in tears. Several of the jurors notice her crying. Drummond tries to show that Jackie Lemanchek is testifying because she wants revenge. No, I'm here because I know how they cheated thousands of people. This story needs to be told. After lunch, I call Mr. Wilfred Keeley, the #1 boss at Great Benefit, as a witness. I show him the medical policy Max Luberg gave me. Please look at page 11, section F, paragraph 4, subparagraph C, point 13. Do you see that? The print is so small, he has to pull the policy almost to his nose. I look at the jurors. The humor is not missed. Got it, he says finally. Good. Now read it, please. He does. What is the purpose of that section? It explains that we don't pay for transplants. Is bone marrow listed as a transplant? Yes, bone marrow is listed. I hand him a copy of the Black policy. What types of transplants are not covered by this policy? Hearts, eyes, all the main ones are listed. What about bone marrow? It's not listed. So, it's not stated that you don't pay for bone marrow transplants? That's correct. When was this lawsuit filed, Mr. Keeley? During the middle of last summer, June. Yes, sir, I say. It was June. Was the language of the policy changed to remove cover for bone marrow transplants after the claim was filed? I don't know. Our final witness is Donnie Ray Black. I sit close to Dot as she wipes her cheek with the backs of her hands. The faces in the jury box are sympathetic. Toward the end, I have a lump in my throat. We have done all the damage we can to Great Benefit, and I am winning the case. Now, we must try not to lose it. Drummond's first witness is Andre Weeks, an official in the Department of Insurance for the state of Tennessee. His job is to place the government firmly on the side of the defense. Drummond hands Weeks the Black policy, and they spend half an hour explaining how each policy, every policy, has to be examined and passed by the Department of Insurance. After an extremely boring hour and a half, the jurors begin to lose interest. We stop for a 15-minute break. Then it's my turn. I hand him the Black policy and ask a few questions about it. He studies the small print in the policy for a long time as everybody waits. Kipler is smiling. Drummond is angry. His next witness, Peyton Reisky, president of a national insurance group, does even more damage. After Drummond is finished with him, I show him the stupid letter. Mr. Reisky, can you look Mrs. Black in the eye and tell her that her son's claim was handled fairly and properly by Great Benefit? It takes him a second or two, but he has no choice. Yes, it certainly was.